Speaking of living the dream, joining us now, the radio voice of the Utah Jazz, our buddy David Locke. What's up, David?
Not much. Who's living the dream? I'm coming off a mountain bike ride in Park City before it got too hot and smoky. It seems kind of dreamy to me.
You are always living the dream, David.
That's probably debatable, but I'll take it.
Hey, before we talk about what we saw at Summer League, where are you on Summer League in general? What you buy, what you don't buy, what value it does offer for our listeners?
A great promotional vehicle for the NBA to stay prominent in a time period where it wouldn't be mentioned, where the sports world is dead. Fabulous way for fans to convene and have a nice evening at an affordable price and go see things. Terrific entertainment to have and play around for the diehards to stay connected. Little to no on-court value.
I do agree with you. The little part of the value, though, David, I would say this, and feel free to disagree, but a sophomore player or even a third-year player who can go and I don't want to say get his work in, but really show that this is beneath him in a way.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. All right. We're changing the way we're using Walker. We want to play 5 out with Walker. Last year it was having him in the dunker spot or in the baseline. This year it's to have him have the ball in his hands like a Sabonis or Draymond Green and play the handoff game and distribute. And if someone wants to drop off him, it allows your guards to get open that way. And so the fact they were able to have, 2 games with Walker, and maybe we'll have more, maybe we won't, games with Walker doing that, okay, there's value to that. Keontae and Walker played very, very little together last year, surprisingly little if you go look it up, for that they kind of had to work and get a routine. That's valuable. Walker working on his picks. His picks were much better. That's valuable. So, I mean, I think you can – I don't want to overplay it. What I don't think you can do is say, like, so-and-so played great in Summer League, therefore is a NBA rotation player.
Yeah. I agree with that.
That's where I'm not willing to go. I mean, I think the story I tell all the time is go look at the MVP one year. One year the MVP of the Summer League was Josh Shelby, and his co-MVP was Dame Lillard.
Right.
Okay, well, those are not the same careers.
Close, though.
Ian Clark. Quite a Summer League player.
Ian Clark was a Summer League MVP?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, right. Yeah, so, I mean – but I do think there's great value in what like some of the things we're talking about. Like, I thought Tim LaComb made a good point last night. Like, closing a game's closing a game. Like, closing a close game doesn't matter. Like, it's still a good experience. And Keontae had 2 terrible turnovers last night. Like, you've got to, like, he made some other great plays, but you got to tighten that. That loses you a game. They won last night, but like those 2 turnovers cost you a game. So you are learning still.
One of the weird things is, it's always hard to understand or know what to expect is how much some guys need to have the ball in their hands to be successful. And I was a lot higher, I think, on Kyle Filipowski than maybe you were coming out of Duke. And the thing is, if you watch the Duke games, he touches the ball every time down the floor. Now there's no reason for him to touch the ball, and he doesn't know what to do. So he's got to figure out what he's going to do if he doesn't touch the ball every possession and figure out like where that 5 touches a game can be impactful early in his career. But you look at Isaiah Collier, who had a crazy usage rate at USC. And I think, and I know you were really high on Isaiah Collier coming out, I just think he looks so much better than I expected him to this early. He just has, the spacing of the game really helped him. Having teammates that actually play basketball has really helped him, which he didn't have at USC. And seemingly having a coach who puts him in some spots to have some confidence in what he's doing has really helped.
Well, I also loved, he was like 16 minutes into the game and taking 3 shots. Right? Like there was a little book on him that was a pig. I didn't see that for 1 second.
Agreed.
At any minute in Summer League. I thought that was great. No, the only thing I would say on Collier was bummer is he's really short. Like I was surprised how short he is. Like every time he matched up on someone, the guy was taller. Like he's legit 6'1", 6'2", not 6'4", 6'5". I don't know what he measured out to be at Combine. I guess, that's the truth. But I would really, I thought, I mean, the funniest thing has been, I don't know if you recall, like in all of our conversations, Jake, I don't know if you recall, I kept saying the same thing about Isaiah Collier when someone would ask me in the interview about him. My comment all the time was like, I mean, I just can't get over how like his crossover, his shake, he gets downhill. that's an elite skill. Now, every now and then he'll throw up a three and bank it and not hit the rim, and it's hard to eliminate that from your memory. And he did it last night. Like, he did exactly that last night. He played like this great game, but then there was that 1-3 that literally was a bank past the rim. I understand why. He takes a set shot. He's not got the quickest release. The window closes on him. He's got to change the arc, and then it goes 5 feet past the basket off the glass. But, like, I mean, when he missed that one, that's as big a miss as I've ever seen on an NBA floor.
All right, here are the official measurements from the Combine, so we can be accurate. 6'2.5", height without shoes. Let's see, and then wingspan 6'4 3/4.
So 6'2.5". Yeah, I mean, I thought he looked shorter than that. I was surprised by that. I was really pleased. I mean, I thought he played like I think he if Keontae's our point guard and plays 34 minutes a night, I think Collier could play 14, 15 minutes a night. What do you think, Ben?
I kind of like the idea that he makes it so Keontae doesn't have to be the point guard. Ideally. I think those are.
That he forces into more time than that.
I think so. Because my initial thought after the draft was, well, if you're 7 feet tall and you're as athletic as Kyle Filipowski is, and he moves easily. He really does, slides his feet well, and he's got to figure out where he's got to be defensively. But I thought just being 7 feet tall, moving, but having more experience than those other two rookies was going to give him a leg up to play. And after just 3 games, I think Collier's going to play.
Yeah. Hey, I'll give you one that was given to me, and you work really hard at this too, so you'll have these experiences. You probably already have had them, but every now and then you talk to someone who knows the game better than you, and they say something to you, and you're like, oh, ding, 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 ding. So I don't remember who the player was. It was a Julius Randle-like player, but he wasn't as good as Julius Randle, and he's coming out of the draft. And I was like, I really like him. He puts it on the deck. He can drive. He can do this. He can dish it out. And he was kind of, actually it's Kenny Lofton type player. And the scout GM, whoever it was, said to me, yeah, the only problem is if he's doing that for you, you're screwed. You better have somebody on the floor who's way better than that doing that. And it was a really eye-opening moment to me that, like, in regards to Kyle Filipowski, yeah, he can put it on the deck and he can spin, he can do all these various things. But, oh, boy, if he's actually the guy initiating and making your plays for you, you're in trouble. Like, he's going to have to play off people, which is your point. But that's how, my takeaway, one of my Summer League takeaways is as much as, like, Kenny Lofton's super fun, like, I have a hard time seeing him as an NBA player because I'm a regular rotation NBA player because, like, I don't want him creating the offense. Like, if he's creating the offense, that's a problem. Because whereas Darius Baisley, like, I totally see him as an NBA rotation player because everything he's doing on the floor matches to what he should do in his role as a player. Does that make sense?
It's just so few guys deserve to have the ball in their hands. And some guys really need it. Some guys really need it, like Kennedy Lofton Jr., to be good. And he doesn't deserve it, with all due respect.
Right. It's why, actually, one of the easiest ways to find a player who's not going to make it in the NBA is a high college usage rate.
Which is why I think there was some red flags about Isaiah Collier, which is why I think I've been so impressed by him.
Right, but remember Morris Allman, like super high college usage rate. The one guy who bucked a high college there was a kid, Taylor, a few years ago out of like North Texas, slid in the draft. And I was like, how could that happen? He scored because he's like, if he's the one shooting, you're got a problem. The guy who obviously bucked out of Steph Curry, his super high college usage rate turned out to be okay.
I asked this question a long time ago on this kind of same note, and I'd be curious to your answer, David. What percentage of the NBA, players that is, are actually 100% happy with their role? You know what I mean? How many NBA players in the league actually think they get the ball enough and play a big enough role on their team?
Luka, Jokic, maybe not Giannis. I think Giannis probably thinks he should shoot more.
Yeah, not anymore. Yeah.
Is it less than 10?
It's way less than 10, right?
Yeah, I'm Embiid.
Okay.
Everybody who plays for the New York Knicks,
yeah, right,
because they get 42 minutes a night.
There are some. Okay, here's the next level. There are some guys Remember Michael Doliak? You play?
Yeah,
he had a
of
great
course.
line to me.
Yeah.
He goes, the last 3 years I've made $5 million for not being an a-hole. So there are some guys on the end of NBA rosters who kind of know it's over, and they know that they're getting an extra $1.5 million or $2 million
And they're
because
stoked.
they're a good locker room guy, because they just do the right thing and they just don't cause a problem. And so those guys are happy with their role too.
I didn't think of those guys. That's
I
brilliant.
bet Jordan Yang's happy with his job.
Yeah.
I bet
Yeah,
Kyle
right.
Anderson's still happy to be in the NBA.
What did Jordan Yang say to me this year? I'm fat, slow, and rich. What else do you need?
That's really true.
Yeah, life's pretty good.
Yeah, that's right. I didn't think of those guys. No, that's totally true.
Okay,
Yeah.
what have you seen from Cody Williams? Because obviously the production has been underwhelming. I don't think if you watched him at Colorado, it's a surprise to you at all, but I think there might be some who say, well, that's a top 10 pick and hopefully a future major pillar of the franchise, and this is what he's doing through the first 3 games?
So I've been, as I said, the last 2 hours I've been on a mountain bike ride, and I literally was waiting to ask you that question because I find it interesting. So let me ask you the first question. Are you put off at all by his disposition and what I don't know how to explain it. Like, is it just so easy for him? It looks like it's all casual. Were you put off by that at all?
I really have tried to adjust over years of watching this to not read too much into body language because some
I think
guys
that's fair.
I have a real bias against because I'm like, oh, he looks so casual, and I hate that. It's like, well, some guys are just casual. Some guys really do things really easily. And, had he made 4 more shots yesterday, which, look, Keontae shot 5 of 21 one night. And then what was he last night? 8 of 14 or whatever it was. I don't even know what the box score was. And it looks pretty casual. And sometimes the difference between casual and missed shots and casual and made shots is, oh, he's a superstar. This is too easy for him and he shouldn't be here. And, oh, he just doesn't care. It's like, well, it's probably neither.
Yeah, I'm certain it's not that he doesn't care. I do wonder. Both Keontae and Cody Williams have this. Their bodies just work so perfectly. It doesn't look like they're going hard. That was the most it was off-putting. But I'm with you. Like, I'm trying not to. I'm 100% right there with you. All right. What did I think of Cody Williams? I was a little stunned at how much he was on the floor and you didn't notice him. But then I wasn't. Because then I remembered that that's exactly how he was at Colorado. So the one thing I would say, this will be the negative, the others are all going to be positive. I generally had decided that at Colorado, KJ Simpson, De Silva, and Lampkin had taken all of the oxygen, and he just acquiesced. But now watching him play, he might just acquiesce. It might not matter who his teammates are. Okay? Second thing I would say is he moves his feet defense. Remember we had the whole Ron Holland can't recover, and Cody Williams can recover conversation? 100%. Oh my gosh, can he recover defensively and move his feet? It's really awesome. And then twice a night, it felt like, maybe once a night, he would suddenly do something you never saw at Colorado. Like, he really is the analogy I'm giving, and it's a weird one, and it's that, Michelangelo says that David was inside the marble, right? And he wasn't the one who created it. He just had to chip the marble away to get to it. That's who he is. Because that play he made late in the game last night where Keontae committed back-to-back turnovers, so Sean Sheldon had Cody Williams bring the ball up the floor, which I'd never seen him do at Colorado under pressure, and then he takes it to the right side, and then the pressure intensifies, and he puts a low crossover on, and he spins away from it, and he gets to the basket, and he gets fouled for 2 free throws. Like, whoa, where'd that come from? Because I'd never seen that at Colorado, and that's like the next step. If that's in there somewhere, holy cow. So I'm still super optimistic on him, still would draft him 10th, and still think that, of the if I had to choose 2 All-Stars in the top 10, they are Reed Shepherd, as long as he's Mark Price, not Brent Price. And there's a decent chance he's Brent Price instead of Mark Price. And Cody Williams. And I saw all the little pieces that would make me believe that he is that player. Like, he could be really, really great. And maybe the casualness is just that it's that easy, and that maybe he figures out how to go harder. One thing that had been told to me was that his workouts weren't very good because he just doesn't seem to go that hard. And then when you put him on a 1-on-0 workout, he just didn't look, as all these agents do. And so people had said to me, he'll get to 10 because his workouts aren't good. So now I see it. I get it. I'm not sure. It doesn't make me comfortable, but I'm not sure I'm worried about it. How's that?
I think it could be like, Carl, I can't say this phrase on the air, resting blank face. You know what I'm talking about? Like people that just have a natural scowl.
RB.
I would buy into some people just carry themselves in a different way,
Just casual.
and it can be misread.
Right. I mean, if he was casual, like the reason I'm not really worried, it's off-putting. It's the only thing I would say. But I'm not worried about it because every single time he had to do something, he did it, right?
Yeah. I think Kawhi plays that way. Ben and I were talking about Kawhi earlier in the show. You know, you don't think he's trying out there, and all of a sudden he's dominating the whole game.
Right, 100%. And, like, he doesn't have a lot of lift. And, no, I mean, his body's incredible. But, I mean, the other one is just really interesting was watching Cody Williams be next to his dad and his brother. And, like, he's clearly going to get bigger.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
And also,
then,
go ahead.
And I don't know how to evaluate this play that he did multiple times. I actually think I might like it. But, I'm not sure. Like, he'd get the ball on the wing. He'd put it on the deck. He wouldn't get an advantage. He'd pull it back out and spin it to someone else. So, like, on one level, you're like, okay, I would like it if he beat that guy. But then again, if he beat that guy every time, he wouldn't have been the 10th pick of the draft. The second thing is I kind of love the fact he didn't force it and then just get himself in. He didn't take the 2 extra dribbles and then got himself in trouble or tried to spin and get it stripped or worry about it. He just, realized, I don't have an advantage. Let me spin it to the next guy, which is really a great play. Like, I think he makes a lot of subtle plays that are boring and smart.
Yeah, maybe he's more Chris Middleton than he is Kawhi, or whatever comp you want to make.
Chris Middleton would be a big win,
and he's extremely casual.
Right, he might be Chris Middleton. Like, that's actually a really good comp. And he'll be a better defender than Chris Middleton.
And Chris in his prime was pretty good. Third best player on a championship team. I would also, again, first 2 things. One, I like that he shot 8 shots, missed them all, and kept shooting. Because he could easily be an 0 for 3 guy who doesn't take a shot in the second half.
Yeah, I could care less whether the ball goes in right now in these games.
And also, he has played 24 games since high school. I mean, I think it's really important to remember he's suited up 24 times since he was a high school player, and now he's in the NBA going up against the best players in the world.
Right. Yes. I get a little concerned in analysis of Taylor was bad night 1 and good night 3. Right? Like, the shots went in night 3 and the shots didn't go in night 1. Was he really I'd really like to go back and watch the film and see if there's really was he really that different? Or the ball go in, right? I mean, Taylor admitted post-game that you get a little more energy and you get going. I get that. But sometimes we just look at the box score and somebody makes a bunch of shots and you call it a better game. Tim Lacombe was really good on the broadcast last night. He kept saying hey, we're getting good looks. We're going to be all right. That's a really hard thing to believe in, but it turned out to be true.
David, my apologies if you answered this question during my vacation, but what's been your favorite move of the offseason so far, NBA-wide?
Well, I guess Paul George, obviously. The Isaiah Hartenstein seems to be giving Oklahoma City a lot of credit. I don't love the Alex Caruso move as much. I mean, I don't mind moving Josh Giddey, but I'm not as big an Alex Caruso lover as everybody else. I think the Zach Edey draft pick was really good. Not because I necessarily think that Zach Edey is going to be great, but it was perfect for Memphis, and he'll be the rookie that's most influential. He might be the Derek Lively of this draft. I mean, moves that change the landscape of the NBA. You've obviously got Paul George and Isaiah Hartenstein are probably the moves. I think the bigger story is the moves that change the landscape the other direction. I do not know what the Clippers are doing now. And frankly, the Lakers are really short of what they need to be.
They got Bronny, David.
Yeah, I'm so tired of that. I'm so tired. I'm trying not to be a curmudgeon, but the dad-son thing is really cool, but can we stop?
He's
not good.
You got a 4-year deal.
I got it. I understand. Now let's stop. Let's not have him on the front page of ESPN on the night where he has 2 points in a Summer League game.
We should have stopped a long time ago.
There might be a long-term narrative of how did they watch Bronny play however many games he played at USC. and pass on Isaiah Collier in the first round. That's not a narrative that would surprise me if we're 3 or 4 years from now.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
And I get everyone was in love with Dalton Knecht falling, which there's a reason he fell.
Yeah, I think, Jake, I don't remember if we talked. I think this draft is going to go down for me. Maybe I feel this way every year because I just love the draft so much. I think this draft is going to go down as one of the most fascinating drafts to look at 5 to 10 years down the road.
I believe it.
There were these guys that were 23 years old, which we've never had before because of COVID, who literally were, when they were high school seniors, their freshman class were 7th graders. And then they go kick the crap out of a bunch of 7th graders and 8th graders, and we decide they're NBA players. I mean, I think there could be some really colossal mistakes made on these 23-year-olds. The second thing was, I don't believe you can teach people to shoot. I got it, Kawhi Leonard, but he's a 15-year pro, and who else in the last 15 years? Find him for me.
Millsap.
I can't. Yeah, maybe. Okay, so he's 20 years. He was actually drafted before Kawhi.
Yep.
So, find me another one. Great, we got 2 guys in 20 years. I just don't believe that these guys learn. I just don't believe it. I need to do more research. I've got 5 years of data. I need 15 to 20 years of data, and if you want to find guys that don't pan out, find guys that couldn't shoot in college and Europe and pro and G League, and then put them in the NBA and ask why they aren't developing. Oh gosh.
I'll throw a name in there because I think he saved his career. Brook Lopez.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really different concept, right? So that's going from a center into a three-point shooting. I'd be curious to know what Lopez's free throw shooting's been his whole career, because that would be the old rule is if you make your free throws, you can shoot a 3. I'm taking guys who actually have shot, right? Millsap and Lopez are interesting because they just never shot and then they started shooting. I'm talking about guys who have shot and not made it. And there were 5 of them in this draft that had historically bad numbers that got drafted in the top 12 or 14. And I'm just super curious to see if they pan out, because if they don't pan out, to me, it's you knew. How didn't you know? If they do pan out, it gets really interesting. It's we actually can take. I just think the concept that you're going to go to a game that's faster, where space evaporates quicker, where the line is further away, and suddenly you're going to be able to shoot, is crazy.
No, I agree with your overall point.
Brooke was at 80% his first year.
So
see, yeah.
And here's what's kind of interesting. It's like the twin astronauts, and we sent one around the Earth for a year to see how he aged differently than his twin brother who stayed on Earth, because Robin was a 69% free throw shooter. And even though Robin did improve to 79 or 81% at his height, clearly Robin has never become a three-point shooter, and Brooke having that much more natural touch developed, and Robin never did.
That's really interesting.
How about
Brooke? I think we forget that Brook Lopez, averaged 20 points a game for 4 or 5 years in the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, he got
great.
drafted for his offense.
Yeah.
He's turned into a great defensive player, but he got drafted for his offense.
He's really had. Someone sits down and looks at his career when it's over. I don't think it's Hall of Fame career, but it's not. It's not that far off Mitch Richmond's career.
How about this name for
this is a Hall of Famer.
This is old too, but this guy learned to shoot. How about Danny Granger?
Okay, so go look. I'm sure he was not a great shooter, but he wasn't terrible.
He was a center at New Mexico. Remember? He was in the Mountain West. We saw him up close.
I'd be curious to go look and see. Maybe that's an example. Now that we are back 25 years.
Yeah, I know that's going back a long way.
Danny Granger shot
43%
his senior season at New Mexico from 3. So he came in having knocked him down.
So that doesn't, we got guys in this draft who literally had all-time bad shooting numbers. And those guys that have had all-time bad shooting numbers are James Bouknight and players like that, and they don't pan out.
It's the interesting thing about what the Jazz did in the draft, which is everyone knocked Collier for not being able to shoot threes because he would hit. He did it yesterday. One of them hit the backboard. Didn't hit the rim at all. You mentioned it. He shot 34% from 3. It's not nothing. That's a huge difference than 26% or 24% that you saw from Buzelis and from Ron Holland. It's a huge difference. It's 10% already and was labeled a bad shooter.
Right. And he's not a great shooter. And he was, by the way, I have threshold numbers where if you're below the percentile of shooters in spot up and catch and shoot, to me, you're in the danger zone. Collier was not in the danger zone, but he wasn't far away from it. Like, he was peeking into the danger zone. He was the next one on the list on both those two, but he wasn't in the danger zone, but he was the next one on the list. Like, I think 40 percentile in spot up is my danger zone. He was at 46. And I think 35 percentile or worse in spot up is my danger zone. And I think he was at like 42nd, right? So he was like right there. So yeah, that's going to be his hurdle. And his free throw shooting is a red flag because it was at 65%. So he does have a lot of red flags for that, but that's why he was available at 29, because otherwise there's no reason he should be available at 29.
And the nice thing about Cody Williams is even if he drops 5 percentage points with increased attempts, he's still at 35%, which there's wiggle room. It's not like he has to learn how to shoot. If he maintains it closely, he's
Cody Williams
he's good enough.
Be able to shoot.
I agree.
Cody Williams is going to be able to shoot. He's going to have to speed up his release, which I don't think is going to be a problem because there's not a lot of body movement there. The play that was the most disturbing to me for somebody's development was Kyle Filipowski having to coil off the rebound to try to go back up. Do you remember that one?
Yep.
Last night?
He got blocked at the rim several times.
Yeah, no, that was the one where it's like, oh gosh, he has to bend to coil to go back up. That doesn't work in this look. You have to pogo stick. Like, these are the little subtle things from college to pro. Like, I don't know that I think Filipowski's spin move can survive. Tim said it well. He's like, he'll just have to figure out how to do it differently. Like, he's gonna have to do things differently. But like, I didn't see anything on Collier. Like, Collier's gonna have to learn a floater. Like, Keontae was not a very good rim finisher in college. Flip side, here's my favorite play from Keontae last night. Keontae kind of has become reliant on this, like, drive, put my shoulder into someone, draw the contact, and kind of try a 7-foot banker off the angle. Like, that's become his go-to move, which is probably smart. Well, twice last night, the rim opened up and he actually went all the way to the rim. I had begun to get a little concerned, like, wow, is he ever going to go to the rim? So it was super great when we saw him actually get all the way to the rim on a few plays, because then it does tell me that, like, oh, wait, he's making a decision there, which is great because that's the trick. Collier right now is not making a decision. He beats his man. He's just going to go and he's going to bang off you and he's going to try to finish like he did in that awesome finish late in the game. Collier's going to have to start to make a decision at 8 feet, but that's part of the learning curve. That's where the G League might be real. That's the only thing where I think the G League might be good for him to go play 30 minutes and learn how to make that decision.
David, thank you. We appreciate you as always.
It was super fun. 3 days. Can I take 1 minute? I just want to give a tip of the hat to the Jazz organization, because Summer League's a real gift and it's super fun and it gives us something to do and it's great. And, like, not everyone does it. Like, during the, hey, everyone's got to put on 41 home games. That's part of the deal. But not everyone has to go put on an extra 3 home games. And our staff, I just show up and call the game, so it's super easy for me. But the whole staff over there, like, that's putting on a whole nother event. It's actually a harder event than a regular season game because they have to manage 3 other teams that are in town and 2 games and this and that. And I just want to tip the hat, couple that with the fact that they're literally launching an entire professional sports franchise in 120 days without that many more staff members yet. So I just want to tip a hat to everybody in the Jazz organization and say thank you, because that was super fun and we're really lucky to have it. And most people don't get to have it. And that was a yeoman's effort always, and this year it's a yeoman's effort on crack cocaine.
Yeah, I'd say. Hear, hear. Thanks, David.
Okay, talk to you later.